What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. He's not happy. He's not. Got a bit of a problem. Jumped on the bike last night to come home from work. Fired it up with a little bit of choke, let it warmed up whilst I put my gloves and lid and all that stuff on. And started on the way home and I dropped something. I think I've dropped a cylinder. It's like a burbling and there's no power behind it and it sounds rough. There's no ticking and banging and all that stuff. There's just no guts to it. So I've nursed it in today. Have a listen. See what I mean? There's that burble to it. It wasn't like that before. It ran really sweet, really nice. So I think I've dropped a cylinder. Easy way to check is just feel the headers. Trouble is I can't get to the bloody things because they're buried. There's a radiator and everything else in the way, so I need to start pulling stuff off and see where we go. So that's what I'm doing. This is probably just going to be a bit of a time lapse. I need a 10mm. Because this is my daily and I need to get it working again so I can go to my work later on. So I need to get a bit of a wiggle on. Right, so we've had all the fairings and that off, picked up a little bit of fuel to it and stuff as well. I can get to all the headers and everything down here, but of course it took me time to get this far and everything sort of cooled off a bit. But at least I can get to the headers. So the idea is, got the garage doors open, all the shop doors, the roller doors at that end. They're open, we're just going to run it out for 5 minutes, let all the headers warm up, and that way I can tell which cylinder's not working. So let's do that. Oh, well, that one didn't take long. It's not the end one, it's the next one. He's the one who's at fault. Right, let's, do I leave all that? I'll leave that there for the minute. Right, so can I get to his plug and see how he's doing? Sort of. Right, so this is a brand new spark plug. The end of it, it did appear wet, a little bit black as well, but we would expect that because the jetting's all well off and everything else. I really want to check it against the, stick this in the, but I can't get to a decent earth point. Just to check to see if there's a spark. So, main airbox is coming off, I think, just so I can get to stuff. It's only one cylinder. So in my head, I'm thinking it's either a knackered spark plug, which I don't believe because that was brand new. Could be a dodgy HT lead or cap. It could be that carb is just blocked up, so it's not getting any fuel. I need to check and see if the spark's all right on this, basically. So airbox is going. All right, what do I need for that? Well, I need you out of the way for a start. Right, so this is the cylinder that's not working. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, basically. This lead goes up to the coil, but the coil also feeds cylinder 3 as well. And that one, the header's getting hot when you run it. So I just want to see if we've actually got a spark coming out of this. So I don't know how much you're going to be able to see, but all I'm doing is, with that back in the HT lead, we'll ground it out on top of the head bolt, turn it over and just see if there's a spark. I don't really want the engine to fire. Well, I'm not seeing a spark there. Right. That could mean it could be this lead could be dodgy. Right, I'm going to shove this back in. Because I know that cylinder there is firing because it's getting warm at the headers, so you know, it could just be this lead is a bit naff, but the coil's actually fine. So what we'll do is we'll shove this back in, switch over the leads for 2 and 3, because I think it's a wasted spark system. So, you know, they're both firing and sparking at the same time, even if it's not on its power stroke. And we'll see if the problem moves from cylinder 2 to cylinder 3. If it does, that would indicate something dodgy with this lead. Right. Let's have you off there. Oh, come on. Well, actually, I should probably check if this is a wasted spark system. Alright, I think it is. Doing it anyway. Right, come on. You can come off there. I'll go on that one. Right, so he's down. And you can go into that one. Right, let's get some fuel hooked up, give it another go. Engine troubles, and look, he shows up there. Right, this is one of those problems that has just disappeared, and I don't get it.
That's because I do
it. Yeah, the threat of a Jamie. So what's happened is I had the plug out, I couldn't really see a spark to it. There obviously is. I switched over leads and run it up, and all four of the headers was actually getting hot. And it didn't sound like it was dropping like a cylinder again. So I've switched them back again, let everything cool down, you know, the headers, just so I can check it again, fired it up, and it's all fine. Here you go. Do you want to do this? Pop in. It's gone again. Listen to it. Verbally.
It's spitting back through the car.
But literally all I did was change the leads back over.
A bit of choke on it. Swap the leads back over again.
2 minutes ago, that was fine.
What did you swap? 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Swap them back over again.
And it's back. I'll turn the fuel back on, because I've only just turned that off. But go, you press them down, you can feel it go down on the cap, can't you?
What have I done there? Clutch switch or something like that. Side stand switch.
No, normally. switch the throttle. Still there, isn't it? And that's with...
It's definitely intermittent problem. That's with the 2 and 3 switch back.
So we switched them back over again.
Definitely feels like it's down.
That's weird. We
You
switched them
tightened the plugs
over.
back up, didn't you?
Yeah, I've only had 2 out because that was the one that was cold.
It definitely sounded like it was spitting back through the carb, didn't it? That definitely looks like the cylinder's dropping in and out. Fuel's definitely pulling through, isn't it?
Right, so stupid question. It's had, what, 421 miles on it. I was going to wait till 500 before we tighten down, you know, have a lid off it, tighten the head up again, dump all the oil and all that lot. If it's got loose, could that have anything to do with it?
You'll probably hear it before anything else. Could be,
But the fact it's intermittent is shouting electrical to me. A very wise man once said, most carburation issues are electrical.
Or fuel.
Or fuel. Because it could be...
It's unlikely though that a jet is blocking and then clearing and blocking and then clearing. Otherwise,
Well, that's the other thing.
Otherwise all of them would be doing it, wouldn't they?
Because it was... I mean, the tank was all flushed out and cleaned and everything else, as was the carbs. There wasn't anything in there. It's all fresh fuel. But, like I was chatting with Andy and he was saying that, if it, for example, if it's a block pilot jet, it should pretty much clear, like 3rd throttle and upwards, because then you're on the mains.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that ain't, is it? It's still burbling as you're revving it.
Well, it was spitting a minute ago and the spitting's gone.
But I also don't believe it's just because it's on the wrong jets, it's too lean. I don't believe that to be the case at all.
Well, something over time has caused it, hasn't it? Because it was fine, and now 400 miles later,
So heat and vibration.
heat and vibration. Possibly. Should we have those plugs up?
That's what I'm thinking.
See what they look like now. And we can clean them, put them back in, do it then.
Bloody hell. I've got to get to my work later. This don't look horrible, does it?
Well, it looks like lack of fuel, that.
Well, if it's running lean.
Yeah, but you can't smell any fuel on it.
Let's get the other one.
Just will not put it on there. Some of the oil melt its way through.
I cleaned that one up before I shoved it back in.
That one has got a slight bit of fuel to it. Ever so slightly, and it's hot.
Right, this is officially doing my head in now. Jamie and me was on the same sort of lines actually. When all we've tried doing is basically proving stuff by swapping stuff out. So, just to recap, so, alright, well this is what's happened basically. So, on the way home it sounded like it was running on 3, and it definitely felt like that. And it felt like that at low revs or at higher revs as well. So to me, you know, I mean, like Andy says, most carburation issues are electrical. So that's what we started on checking. So I've had the plug out of cylinder 2, because that is definitely the one that wasn't firing, because you could feel the header pipes and it was cold. All the others were roasty, toasty hot. So we've had the plug out of that and checked it. Shoved it back in, exactly the same again. Then we switched over HT leads. So the lead that was on number 2 is now on number 3 and vice versa, but 3 then got hot. So it's like, okay, well, I doubt it's the coil then. I doubt it's the lead either. So then we've had it running, and whilst it's running, we've pulled the HT leads off one at a time. So you pull off the one on cylinder 3, and there is a marked like horribleness that starts happening, and it just, I mean, it barely kept running, but it was running like an absolute pig. So we shoved all that back on, fired it up again, and pulled off HT lead for cylinder 2, and it just didn't change. So that's obviously where the problem is, but because we've switched over the leads and it all goes up to the same coil, it can't be the coil, and it can't be the lead, and it can't be the spark plugs, because they've been switched over just now as well. So we're definitely looking at fueling, and we're definitely looking at the carb on cylinder number 2. So when the bike was all done, the tank was, it was rusty inside. It was rusty inside, but it was all cleaned out, and it was all like dunked in that citric acid, and then it was all washed out and everything else. It is conceivable that there is still a little bit of goo sitting in the bottom somewhere, and it's dragged some, you know, flakes of rust or something through. I doubt it, because if you look at the fuel that I've shoved in the little auxiliary tank, you know, there's no bits in it or anything else, so I don't think it's fueling. Not in, you know, as far as the tank goes. It could be that something did get dragged through and it's blocking up a pilot jet or something like that. But what it basically means is that the airbox is coming off, the carbs is coming off, the carbs is getting stripped and checked and cleaned and check the float heights and blah 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 blah, set everything back up again, shove it all back together again and see if that cures the problem. But it definitely sounds like a fueling issue. So, I ain't going to work on this today, because it's in bits and it's everywhere. I'll be back in again tomorrow, so we'll get all this lot off. And then it's the weekend, so I'm in here again on Saturday, and I'm hoping I can get to the bottom of the problem. Still haven't seen the fork spring. I've got everything else, but I really do want to get the forks done as well, because they're weeping quite a bit. And I've also got a sump gasket that's turned up. So the other thing, because I mean we're basically 421 miles it's done. We was waiting for 500 before dumping all the oil, but because I've got this gearbox problem, what I want to do is have the sump off and have a look up underneath at the gearbox and just have a look and see if I can find out what the problem was. I also want to have a look at the external stuff down here, because it could be a problem down there. But there you go. So anyway, carbs is coming off next, and I'll be back.